It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. Welcome to the Dep Lewis Show, episode 65. This is your host, Dep Lewis, and today is February 4th, 2024. This is a Sunday, coming at you on a Sunday, as normal, for another great podcast about video games and much more. So welcome to the show today. Hope you had a great week out there. Hopefully you are not freezing like it is outside today, even though that groundhog showed up and said that spring is going to spring early. So that's something to look forward to if you want to listen to a groundhog. But the most important thing is to listen to this show today. So thank you for joining me. Hope you've been doing good out there in the world. I just want to start off with some business. If you can help out the show even more than you are just by listening, please follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Like, subscribe, rate, comment, review, turn on notifications, tell a friend, tell a dog, tell a cat, tell a bird, tell a squirrel, tell a boy, tell a girl, tell anyone in the world about the Dep Lewis Show. Email any questions or feedback to DepLewisShow@gmail.com. That email box is open 24/7, 365 for anything you want to say. And then full episodes of Dep Lewis Show are available anywhere you can find a podcast. So places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Patreon, and more on my Buzzsprout page. So the Buzzsprout page is a good hub to find the perfect place for you to listen to this show every week. Our clips of the show are on YouTube and TikTok, so look for me there. And then twitch.tv/DepLewisShow is a great place to follow. And maybe look for this on Thursdays. It's kind of what I'm thinking. I streamed last week some Uncharted 4 for about an hour or so, and I've been looking at Thursday for like a streaming night, so this is what I'm going to start thinking about a little more and trying to execute that. So maybe look out for Dep Lewis Show on twitch.tv. On Thursday nights, I might stream for like an hour or something and just play some games while having the stream going. So I want to do that more often just to try to get some more eyeballs on the Dep Lewis Show. So check me out on twitch.tv/DepLewisShow. And then the ultimate place to follow is patreon.com/DepLewisShow. There you can get a second weekly podcast exclusive to Patreon called the Dep Lewis Freestyle Show. And I'll tell you more about this in the end. So just make sure you listen to this whole podcast and just be very curious up until the end so I can tell you all the details about the Patreon. And then let me tell you about the show today. So the show today, we're going to have our three normal sections. The first section will be what video games I've been playing over the course of the past week. So I have 2 games to tell you about there. And the mid section of the show today, we're going to smoke on some mid, and we're going to go over video game news, video game happenings, video game information that's happened over the past week. So this is where I tell you all the cool information that I've seen going on across the video game world. So that'll be the mid section of the show. And then the final section of the show today is the miscellaneous talk section, where I can talk about anything outside of the video game world that I want to. And so for today, we're going to dive into the worldwide world of sports is the plan. So it's going to be a great show. It's February. It's a Sunday. It's a Dep Lewis Show, and that's what we're here to do. So welcome to the show. So let's get into it today. This is a very regular show. I just got some normal stuff going on, and I'm here to tell you about it. So the first game I've been playing this week is something I've been diving back into. It's a game I play every year. It's a game I've been playing for a very long time, since I ever started video gaming, and that is basketball. And the most recent release I'm playing is NBA 2K24. So I'm back playing this game. I'm playing it on PlayStation. I'm trying to get good at it, and I'm really struggling out here. My whole plan was to start playing some and battle people online and try to win some games, but I've been dusting off my skills, trying to figure out if I have any skills in this game anymore. But I've been playing the computer. I've been losing. I've been doing nothing but losing. I have 2 seasons going right now with the Hawks and with the Pacers. And I think I have lost every single game in my season with the Pacers so far. So it's really, really rough out here. But I keep trying, and I'm enjoying this at least. I just don't understand what I'm doing so poorly. I think it's just from taking years off from playing this game in any significant way. And the game has moved on a little bit and has left me behind. So I'm sitting here clawing and scratching and itching, I guess, and trying to get back up to the top where I belong. But it's been rough. I've been doing some of the practice stuff in this game, just trying to learn how to shoot. I really am focusing in on the Hawks and the Pacers just so I have 2 teams, trying to figure out the people's shooting styles and the exact moment when to let it loose so I can get a shot in the net for once. And it has been pretty tough, but it's been really, really fun. This is a great podcast game, and that's the main reason I wanted to get back into this was to have a game to play while listening to podcasts. So, if you want to pick up some NBA 2K, you can listen to this show like you're doing right now, and you'll be having a wonderful time. So, even though I've been losing a whole lot, I still feel like I've been making some progress, picking up some moves, learning a few tricks here and there. But I think there's just a lot of things at your disposal in this game that you really have to figure out how to utilize them effectively. So it's just been tough, and that is what's going on with NBA 2K24. So I said I can't win a game with the Pacers. I was doing pretty decent in my Hawks season, but I played a game with the Hawks last night. I switched back. I was like, okay, I'll go play my favorite team, my super team that I know I'm doing better with, and I lost a game with them to the Pacers. So NBA 2K is really trolling me pretty hard right now, and I don't appreciate it, NBA 2K. So I think I've hit a little bit of a wall with my skill increase, is what I said. I've been playing more of the Pacers than the Hawks, so I may need to get back to the Hawks. That's possibly a good idea, or possibly I should start a season with like the Celtics or one of the better teams in the league to give myself any advantage I can, because this is rough out here, and I've even bumped down the difficulty, so I don't know what else I can do in this game besides keep playing it. And luckily, it's just a great game, so I'm enjoying it. So I did write loving this game. It's such a good podcasting game. I haven't tried it online yet, but this is in the plans. So maybe that's something I should think about this week, is playing some games online. Maybe I'll have some better luck playing against a real opponent instead of the computer. Maybe I need to mix it up is probably a good idea. That probably is a good idea now thinking of it. Because you can probably they are two different kind of battles versus the computer versus a real person. And they require different skill sets and strategies, but they definitely both have some overlapping strategies, so I need to mix it up. I think that's a good idea. So maybe that'll be the plan for this week, to get my NBA skills back to where they need to be. So NBA 2K24, it's been a great game. I'm going to continue playing this and probably talking about this on the show, at least in some capacity, for a good while, I would guess. I love having a podcast game, and this is going to hold that spot, I'm thinking. So NBA 2K24, you're doing great, but the balls are not bouncing where I want them to bounce. So hopefully they'll start bouncing in a correct manner soon, but I don't know. Maybe I'll be on an upswing like the real Atlanta Hawks. We'll talk about them at the end of the show. So NBA 2K24, that's a game I've been playing in the past week, and I'm going to continue playing, so expect to hear some more about that on future Dep Lewis shows. All right, the next game I've been playing is my single-player game that I'm working towards right now, and that is Uncharted 4. So I've been back playing some Uncharted 4 on the PlayStation 5. I've been on a little bit of a hot streak of completing some games on my PlayStation, so I'm trying to continue that trend. I'm not trying to play extremely long games, so that is what has got me looking back at Uncharted 4. So Uncharted 4 is something I played. I think it came out in 2016, and I played through probably 75% of this game back in the day, but never completed it. So I'm still going through things that I have seen before, but I haven't seen them probably in, that's over 8 years, 7 years or something like that. So a lot of it is familiar because it's a really good game and has some memorable moments, but other parts I'm going through, like some of the platforming sections, which there's a lot of those in this game, and they are fun, but some of those I'm going through, I'm feeling like I never have done it before. So it's been really fun going back to this. It does have a little bit of a, you can definitely tell that it's a game from 2016 from some of the stuff it's doing, but you can definitely see a lot of the great things that Naughty Dog does in general in this game. Like just everything I talk about with The Last of Us, and the way they do the story so well and the combat and mix them together. And also all the pacing in the game is great. So it has you doing different things from time to time. This game has some puzzly stuff in it, which is not my favorite things, some of my favorite things in video games. So I've been looking up the puzzles for these, looking up like a guide for these puzzles to figure out what to do. And that is just kind of normal practice for me. And getting to some of these puzzles are bringing flashbacks to playing the game back in the day. And those are some of the parts about Uncharted that trip me up, but have never stopped me from playing the franchise, because the puzzles are usually simple enough that I can even figure them out. But with some of these, I've just been saving the frustration and looking up how to do it and just following the guide exactly. But I don't think that's a knock on the puzzles in general. I think it's more of like a video game style thing for me. But so Uncharted 4, if you're not familiar with this game, because it is an old game at this point, and they aren't making, I don't think there's any plans to make another one. So I think the Uncharted series is kaput at this point. So Nathan Drake is the main character. Several years after his last adventure, Nathan Drake is forced back into the world of thieves. So fate comes calling when Sam, well, yeah, I don't know if I want to say that, but yeah, there's some spoilery stuff here. Drake has a surprise person show up, and he needs some help to save his own life, and that's what I'll say. He's offering Drake an adventure he can't resist. So this is basically pulling Drake out of retirement. He's on the couch playing video games with his wife. He's living a great life. He has a nice house. He's doing some kind of normal job. And guess who shows up? Somebody from his past. And he's got some activities from his past that he wants to revisit. So that's what they start doing. And you are back on an adventure like Uncharted. And Uncharted is one of my favorite franchises of all time. And playing this game really does. It feels like some nostalgia, even though I haven't completed this game. But it's just really fun playing this. And Naughty Dog's doing a lot of wonderful things in this game. So this game was a winner of over 150 Game of the Year awards back in the day. It's a globe-trotting adventure with the largest and most detailed environments in the Uncharted franchise. So this was really the big showpiece on PlayStation 4 back in the day. This was the game that everyone was looking to, like, holy crap, this looks really good. It has fluid combat and traversal with the use of the grapple hook creates even more dynamic and thrilling action set pieces. And also, yeah, I'm playing this on PlayStation Plus. So I paid for a month of this instead of actually buying the game. So that's something I need to consider with trying to finish this, even though subscribing to the monthly service isn't a bad deal because I'm getting access to online and also able to play this game. And there's actually a few other games that I've considered playing on the PlayStation Plus extra list, I guess. So maybe I'll keep it going for a few months and see how it goes. And I do want to play some online NBA. So that's a nice perk. So I'm playing that through PlayStation Plus Extra. It's actually the combination pack. I think it's called the Legacy of Thieves, and you get the Lost Legacy game with this as well, which is a shorter adventure with the other characters. I think Nadine's her name, maybe Chloe. And I'm planning on playing that as well. I think it's a shorter adventure. I don't think I've ever played any of that before. So I'm going to try that after completing Uncharted 4 is my plan. And I'll definitely be telling you about that here on the show. So let's just go through the rest of my notes. I played through a decent portion of this when it was released. So yeah, I've been skipping some early cutscenes. And I'm almost at the point now where I'm watching some of the cutscenes just to refresh my memory. A lot of the early stuff from the game was really memorable, and I didn't need too much context for it. But at this point, it's been nice to get the story again. And this is a pretty quick game in general, so the cutscenes aren't too overwhelming of a thing to watch. Platforming and shooting is what you're doing in this game. And that's a great reminder that I love some platforming and also some shooting. So two things I haven't done in video games in a little bit of a while, I guess. I don't think I've played any shooting games recently. But platforming, I played Mario last year, but this game has some pretty unique platforming. It's a lot of climbing, a lot of jumping, sometimes moving a crate to get up to an area, dropping a ladder down, boosting somebody you're rolling around the world with, boosting them up to get to an area, things like that. So it's very fun to do the platforming. It's a nice break from the action, and that's one of the things I think this game does best is the pacing. So you have platforming, you have shooting, you have exploratory stuff, and then you have cutscenes. And then the cutscenes even have some little things you can do, like the attic scene at the beginning or playing Crash Bandicoot within the game. So there's some really cool stuff going on, and it keeps the variety nice. And then all the basic stuff of the game is excellent too. So it's a really great package of a video game in general. So let's see here. Elena is Drake's wife, and then Sully has Chloe showing back up and having a fight with Drake that's pretty intense, and that's where I'm at. I'm at the section now. I've been crawling in some caves and looking for this treasure. So that's what I'm doing. I'm treasure hunting, and I'm going to keep hunting this treasure, and hopefully going to come out on top with the treasure and with Nathan Drake's life, and hopefully he can get back to his life with his wife, living normal, and just, I guess, hopefully be really, really rich is here and help somebody who has a really big problem solve that problem. So I'm going to keep you updated on the Uncharted 4 each week as I play. I really do plan to continue playing this. This is my main single player game I have going right now, and I am around chapter 9. I believe there's 23, maybe a few more than that. So I think I'm getting close. I'm probably 1/3 of the way done with this game. So making pretty good progress. and looking to finish this in the near future. So that is going to wrap up this first section of the show today on the Dep Lewis Show, episode 65. I've been telling you about the video games I've been playing in the last week. So those have been NBA 2K24 and Uncharted 4. And I could see myself playing these games again this week. And I'll definitely be back next week to tell you about what's going on with me and my video game playing on this show again. So that is going to wrap up the first section of this show. We're going to take a quick break. You're going to hear some lovely break music. And we're going to come back for the mid-section of the show where we're going to talk about all the video game news of the world in the past week. So we got a showcase I want to tell you all about that was really, really cool. One of my favorite things to watch and happened during the year. So I'm going to tell you all about that. There's a lot of good news there. And then we have a video game release. We have some DLC release. We have some other news and information. So you don't want to miss it. So go take a quick break and come back to the Dep Lewis Show, episode 65, after this music. Welcome back to the mid-section of Dep Lewis Show, episode 65. We're gonna talk about all the video game news and happenings of the past week, and I have a lot of great information to tell you about. So that's what we're gonna get into. So Sony announced and had a state of play last week. So this was a 40-minute extravaganza presentation from Sony, talking about updates of games coming to the PlayStation 5. This took place on January 31st, 2024, and was a great epic experience. I think they exceeded expectations. I don't know what kind of expectations I had, but I came out of this really excited for a great number of these games, and very, very cool stuff was shown here. So Sony State of Play, I definitely recommend going and watching the replay of the event. You can go watch it on YouTube. And I watched MinMax talk over this while it was happening. So that's always a fun thing to do, is watch an outlet you like talk over these news conferences. So go check out MinMax with 2 N's if you want to watch a good recap of exactly what happened. But I'm here to tell you all about it here on the Dep Lewis Show right now. So let's see here. The coolest thing I think I saw here by far was Death Stranding 2. I wrote it was the coolest thing, and I wrote it was so damn awesome. And they have announced the official title of this, which is officially titled Death Stranding 2 on the Beach. So this is being developed by Kojima Productions. We actually got to see Hideo Kojima himself, which was pretty exciting and interesting. And he also had some more information to tell us besides Death Stranding 2. So we're going to get into that in just a minute. But this trailer was 9 to 10 minutes long, which was pretty mind-blowing after realizing it was that long, because it felt like just a few minutes for sure. I would have guessed it was 3 or 4 minutes long. But when I went to look it up on YouTube after just to kind of watch through some of it again, I'm like, holy crap, that thing is 9 minutes long. So I heard that same sentiment from someone else on a podcast this week. So Death Stranding 2 really nailed this trailer and presented their game in a very, very positive manner. And I think it's going to get a lot of people excited to play this, even people who haven't played the first game before, like myself. So this immediately put the first game on my wish list, and I looked it up and it was on sale, so I actually ordered this game. So I have a copy of Death Stranding 1 right now available to play. So I don't know when I'm going to get into this game. It's been something that I've never really considered playing before until maybe the past year. A person I follow, Dan Reichert, had a great turn on this game and ended up loving it, and that was a pretty big, made it attractive for me to want to try it. That was a great opinion from him, and it was a pretty huge mood change on it. He went from a hater to loving the game. And after seeing this trailer, it was like, I definitely want to play the second game. It looks amazingly cool, and it was kind of like, hey, I can't believe I haven't ever tried the first game before. I know the first game is pretty divisive, but I could come out on the side of people who like it. So Death Stranding 2 Death Stranding 1 is now something I own. So that's something I've been trying to do, is buy a physical copy of a game instead of buying digital, because even if I don't get to the game immediately, I still own a physical something. And as we can see, a lot of news these days, physical games are going away. So I think I'm trying this method right at the end of a life cycle of something, but I don't think physical games are immediately going away. But it has been serving a good purpose, because this game was on sale and cheaper than buying it on the digital store when I went looking for it. So I like it's nice having the opportunity to shop different places and look at different prices instead of being just dialed into the store. But I did that for a while and really had no problem. So
it's really just kind of a preference thing. But Death Stranding 2, let's see. The potential villain was using a chainsaw guitar hybrid weapon that shoots lightning. So I thought that was pretty awesome. That character is voiced by Troy Baker, and I saw some people online talking about how kind of stupid that was. But we're talking about a video game here. There's a crazy looking character, villain character, looks like the Joker kind of, he pulls out a guitar and starts strumming it, and it shoots lightning out and is attacking somebody. So I mean, if you want to escape from the real world, I mean, what a good example of video games doing crazy stuff, and I think should be appreciated by video game fans. It's crazy and looks cool, and this was just really giving me a lot of Metal Gear feelings. Obviously, it's created by Kojima, but it was just making me realize how Metal Gear this series is, and Metal Gear 4 is one of my favorite games of all time, and a series that I need to play more of in general, and I need to play more of Death Stranding in general as well. So Death Stranding 2, I think, was the coolest thing from the Sony State of Play, so please go check that out if you don't check out anything else from the Sony State of Play. Even if you, just go watch the trailer and go skim through it and just see some of the stuff it's doing. Maybe don't, not everybody's going to watch a 9-minute trailer, but go scrub through it and watch some parts of it and check it out. It's just cool to see if you're interested in video games in general, just to see what they're doing. And it looks pretty unique and very cool. So Death Stranding 2, I think they said 2025, so we're having to wait a good while on this game, but that is fine. Let the game cook, and hopefully it comes out in an excellent manner. So something else that was announced after this 9-10 minute trailer from Kojima is Kojima has announced, and Kojima Productions has announced, a new IP for PlayStation, which I guess is called, and I don't know, I wanted to look up how to say this, but I really never even got the name while watching the presentation. I kind of thought it was like, hey, unknown game or new IP, but when I looked it up online after, they have a title called Physint, Physint, maybe, I don't know, but whatever the game is titled, I think it's kind of irrelevant at this point, because this game looks very cool, and there's going to be a lot of people playing this. This is an action espionage game, so has some stealth action, and Kojima mentions it being like a movie, which was getting some eye rolls online and on podcasts and things like that. But if you are signing up for a Kojima game, you're going into it knowing that he's trying to make the game a little bit like a movie, but his games also have great action sequences and gameplay in them too. But it is probably like a half and half, or sometimes even more than half, that you really are just kind of watching a movie for part of this. But if you are getting into this kind of game, you should know that going in. So this is going to be a new, it's supposed to be like a spiritual successor to Metal Gear, and PlayStation is basically telling them, hey, to make one of those styles of games, we're not going to call it Metal Gear, but we're going to make one, and it's going to be exclusive for PlayStation, it looks like. So pretty awesome thing. Definitely something I'm going to be tracking and wanting to keep up with, and something that I'll probably be trying to buy on day one whenever it comes out. But I heard one podcast mentioning that this is targeted for next gen. So that's pretty crazy to think about. So they're talking about like PlayStation 6, this game could be coming out. So with I think the expected life cycle, or traditional life cycle of these current consoles, would be 2028 would be when we would see a new console, or 2029. So, we're still some years away from that. So this game is definitely, in earlier development, and they'll be trying to work on getting Death Stranding 2 out the door, and then they can fully focus on getting this new IP out to the world. So very, very cool, and definitely the coolest section of the State of Play. And this was all at the end of the show. So, just go watch this thing. It really is cool to see for yourself, but I'm going to keep telling you about it here on the Dep Lewis Show. All right, so let's get into the other games that were shown. I've kind of done these in order that I found them cool and important. So the next game is called Rise of the Ronin. This is Team Ninja's next game, and it actually releases pretty soon. It releases on March 22nd, 2024, and this was giving us a look at the hub world of Yokohama. So Yokohama is a pretty popular city in some games right now, and they're going to tackle this as well in Rise of the Ronin. So this is a one-on-one sword combat game with a parry system, and I wrote that it was reminding me of Assassin's Creed and Ghost of Tsushima in a lot of ways. So I think those would be the two comparisons that most people would draw after seeing some footage of this game. And it kind of looks a little bit like a Souls-like with the combat, and that's something that I haven't really been able to overcome and succeed with yet. I don't know if I'm just that style of gamer, but I do like some of those games, and I definitely like trying them out and playing them, but it hasn't been something I've stuck with like a really hard combat game. Something like Elden Ring, it just seems a little bit too tough for me, or I just am not dedicating enough time to get actually good at it. But this game has not been I think this game, from the first time I saw it, Rise of the Ronin, just looked cool because of you're a samurai. The game looks really, really cool. All the action looks really awesome, but it hasn't really been something that I've been excited for. But this has been the first time seeing this game where I was like, man, I maybe would like to play this game. I haven't played a Team Ninja game since Ninja Gaiden back on the 360, but I really did enjoy that, even though that game was brutally hard. But that was my first time getting into that series or trying it out, and definitely made me respect Team Ninja in a whole lot of ways. So seeing Team Ninja's most recent product on the market would be really exciting to see, and something that this will definitely be. I think, what's my category? I try to rank games excitement of like buying them as like a definite, maybe definitely, probably, maybe, and a no or something like that. I forget what it was. I used to have something better, but this would probably be on the wait and see category. I would definitely want to see what critics are saying and see some gameplay footage and see the overall opinion on this game before I'd be trying to spend some money on it. But this game's definitely on my radar. It could be something I want to purchase later in the year or at a later time to try to play through. I've really been trying to figure out how to complete some games instead of just buying new games. So this could get added in the backlog at some point, but Rise of the Ronin is looking really cool, and you should definitely go check it out. All right, and the next game I want to tell you about is Stellar Blade. This is another game that's coming relatively soon to PlayStation. Its release date was announced for April 26, 2024. So pretty crazy if you think about it with the releases that Sony has going on early in the year. So Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes out February 29th, I believe. It's the end of February for sure. And we just talked about Rise of the Ronin coming in March, and then we're talking about Stellar Blade coming in April. So a lot of cool franchises, a lot of things that are new and different and people are excited for. We're getting them early in the year, and that is a pretty exciting time to be a video gamer. But Stellar Blade, it hasn't really been something too big on my radar, but this definitely is selling it well. And just kind of like Rise of the Ronin, I kind of have the same thoughts. I'm interested in it. I'm probably not going to buy it day one. I want to see what people are saying about it, and it could be something I play in the future, but I definitely think it looks cool. It's an action game coming from developer Shift Up and publisher Sony Interactive Entertainment. It takes place on an apocalyptic Earth where a mysterious enemy has forced humans to flee to a colony. The main character Eve and her two companions, Adam and Lily, are fighting mech-like enemies as well as hostile survivors. So this is gun and swords and stylish combat. So I don't know. I think with the stylish combat, you're normally thinking like Devil May Cry combat versus Dark Souls. I think this is trying to tote the line between both of them. I don't know how long this game is going to be, but this was a pretty long showing of this game. And they were showing off some sections even besides fighting. So they were showing off some of the talking stuff, some of the interacting with vendors, some of the walking around the world things they were showing in this game. So definitely looking like a cool experience. And I'm not familiar with the developer. I don't know if this is generally my style of game, but the art style of this game looks really cool. The action looks really cool. And I know a lot of people are excited for this. So keep Stellar Blade on your radar. And it releases in April of this year, April 26, 2024. And that was the new news from the Sony State of Play on Stellar Blade. All right, so let's keep going down the list of games from this show. There are a lot more games I want to talk about from this show, and we're going to get into it. So Judas is the next game, and they gave a brand new trailer for this game. This is the next game from Ken Levine, the creator of BioShock. It's a first-person combat in a dystopian-looking world. So if you watch this trailer, you are definitely getting BioShock vibes, and BioShock is one of my favorite games of all time. BioShock 1, 2, and BioShock Infinite are all amazing games back from the 360 days, and just games that are, it's been 14 years since those games came out or something like that. I think 2013 was BioShock Infinite. So it's been over a decade. So these games definitely have some nostalgia factor for me. But, Judas, as being a brand new game, should hopefully be scratching that itch for, older gamers like me who have played BioShock. And then they're going to be trying to bring in some new gamers and modern world stuff into the game. So I think that sounds like a great combination because BioShock did a great thing of having a really amazing story and atmosphere and world. So they did, an exceptional job of world building, but then they had fun gameplay in there as well. So I'm thinking that's exactly what this game is going for. These games are generally a little more linear and focused than like an open world game. So that's a nice change too in the world where a lot of games trying to go open world. This is a little more focused, but they're probably, this game's going to be, modern. I don't think they're going to be developing an old style of game here. So there could be some like more open world sections in this. So it'll be cool to see a modern spin on the BioShock formula, which they haven't given us in a while. And that is a nice thing too in general when they don't beat you down the throat or beat you over the head or whatever a good phrase is, a clever phrase to say, too much of it. But we haven't, got anything like this in a long time. So definitely something on my radar. And this would probably be more in the category of something I want to try to buy on day one. I don't know if there's any indication of when this game is going to come out, so I don't think there's any time soon. But Judas is definitely looking very cool and interesting, so go check that out. There's a brand new trailer that was shown off. All right, it's a game that has been on my radar since last year. It was on a lot of people's Game of the Year list for last year. Something I think that looks very cool. Something I've been tempted to buy on my Nintendo Switch for a long time, but this game is coming to PlayStation now, and that is Dave the Diver. So I've been really getting solely playing my PlayStation recently, trying to focus in on one console just to help my gaming habits out, and this could be something I actually buy on the PlayStation finally. So this is coming out in April 2024. This is a $20 game, not a full price game, and they have announced that Godzilla is coming to this game in May of 2024. So Dave the Diver has already done a Dredge crossover, and now they're doing a Godzilla crossover. So that is a definite perfect time to try this game. A definite good selling point and a really cool inclusion. I don't know why I've been seeing so much of Godzilla out in the world recently. I think there is a new Godzilla movie out, or there's a new movie with Godzilla in it. But I haven't really just thought about Godzilla since I was a little kid. And he has been back around the world doing his thing. And it showing up in Dave the Diver is pretty amazing. Because Dave the Diver is a game where you're basically diving in the ocean, you're catching fish, and then you're bringing these fish up to your restaurant that you run, and you are cooking the fish and serving it. Or you're preparing the fish and serving it, and then getting your stats for your restaurant at the end of the night. So it's telling you how much money you made and how many rolls you sold and things like that. So that's the general loop of Dave the Diver. And I don't really know what Godzilla is going to be doing in the world. I heard one person mention, they were like, is he just going to be standing there? You're just going to see Godzilla chilling over to the side, or is he going to be interacting with the game in some way? We'll have to find out in May of 2024. Okay, the next game is something called Foamstars. Foamstars is something I have a little bit of a qualm with, or a beef with, that it looks like one of my favorite games, Splatoon 3, which was the game of the year for the Dep Lewis Show for 2022. Foamstars looks like it's trying to do Splatoon 3 with human-looking characters on the PlayStation. So that is a little bit of a knock on it for me because I love the style of Splatoon 3. But if they do a good version of this on PlayStation, that could be fun to play as well. And I do have access to PlayStation Plus right now. And this game releases on PlayStation Plus on February 6th, 2024. So that is in 2 days if you're listening in real time. So that is another great selling point on at least trying it out for myself. I don't have to spend any extra money to play this, and I can try it out and give an opinion. So that's probably what I'll be doing next week on this show. I'll probably at least try a few games of Foamstars. And for some reason, it's one of those things where I'm like, I hope I don't like this. I feel like I'll be betraying Splatoon 3. We actually have some Splatoon 3 news coming in a little bit on this show. But I don't know. I don't wish for a game to do bad or poorly, but I don't know if I need another Splatoon 3 in my life. I already have that game. I already like to play it still from time to time, and this is more of a coming at this from some interest and see how it is. So Foamstars is coming out next week, February 6th, 2024. Okay, another game that got announced is Sonic x Shadow Generations. So Sega revealed this, which is an enhanced remaster of Sonic Generations with new content featuring Shadow the Hedgehog. So they showed the same levels we saw in the original Sonic Generations from 2011, as well as levels where Shadow takes the lead. So this is coming to PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC in fall of 2024. So very cool. I think this is generally considered a lot of people's favorite Sonic game or 3D Sonic game. It's supposed to be a great video game in general, so I'm a Sonic fan from time to time, so definitely this will be something on my radar, and hopefully they can do a great job at remastering this game and also, adding some new content into it that makes it, extra exciting for people to want to buy. So I've never played Sonic Generations from back in the day, and I don't think I've ever completed the Sonic game. I've probably played maybe 4 or 5 of them over the course of my life, but I have a lot of fun with them. I like Sonic as a character in general, and then Shadow looks really, really cool too, and I think is a lot of people's favorite character from the Sonic universe. So Sonic and Shadow Generations is coming out the fall of 2024. So those were the main games from the show that I would say I'm tracking the most. But there was definitely more announcements and games shown off, and I'm going to tell you about the rest of those here in just a kind of a quick manner. So I just want to say again, you should go watch this State of Play for yourself if you have time. It's a 40-minute trailer, really, really fun to watch. Get some popcorn, get a drink, sit back, kick your legs up, and watch that State of Play. But listening to it here on the Dep Lewis Show is a great way to get the information as well. But I think this thing is really worthwhile. I have a lot of fun watching it. So I just wanted to reiterate that to you out there in the world. So a game is getting a remaster called Until Dawn. It's coming to PlayStation 5 and PC later in 2024. And they have announced that this is developer Ballistic Moon is handling the project. So not familiar with that developer. They have a cool logo. And Until Dawn is a scary game, something I don't really have too much knowledge of, but it's getting remastered, which is nice for Until Dawn fans, and hopefully will bring some new fans to the series if developer Ballistic Moon can execute the remaster in a proper manner. All right, Dragon's Dogma 2 was another game that Capcom shared a trailer for. This game releases on March 22nd, 2024, so that is coming in a little over a month if you're listening in real time. Dragon's Dogma 1, not a game I've tried. I watched Jeff Gerstmann play some of this, and he's a pretty big fan of it. It looks like it has a pretty niche following, or kind of a cult following a little bit. And I think Dragon's Dogma 2 is trying to, gain some more of the market share out there with what it's doing. So it looks a little more expensive from what I'm seeing, and it does have some pretty good hype going. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of early games going on this year. It's definitely going to have to do a lot to stand out. Coming out in March, I think that's the same day, Rise of the Ronin. Yep, same day as Rise of the Ronin. So pretty big competition there. And I don't know if Dragon's Dogma 2 is going to be on my radar as something to buy, but I will definitely be checking into it and seeing what people say about it. And that releases on March 22nd, 2024. All right, so we got some good Silent Hill news if you're a Silent Hill fan out there on this show. So Silent Hill revealed they have dropped that same day. There's a free-to-play Silent Hill spin-off that was available to play right now if you're listening in real time, developed by Konami, and it's called Silent Hill: The Short Message. So not too familiar with what's going on with this game. Silent Hill is a little bit too spooky and scary for me, but Silent Hill 2 is a game that is a lot of people's favorite game of all time, or it's a pretty common greatest game of all time, Silent Hill 2. And so they have also announced that Silent Hill 2 Remake, well, that's been announced, but they shared a new trailer for this as well. But no release date or time frame given, but we get a new Silent Hill 2 Remake trailer, and then also the Silent Hill: The Short Message, the free-to-play Silent Hill spinoff was available that day. So pretty great news for Silent Hill fans. All right, the last couple games from the show I want to tell you about is a game called V Rising that's coming to PlayStation 5 in 2024. It's an isometric action game with some Diablo vibes. Fantasy survival game originally launched in early access on PC in 2022. So V Rising, don't have too much to say there, but it really did have some Diablo vibes, and I mean that in a good way. It has a cool art style. The next game is Zenless Zone Zero, developer Helldivers. That's their newest game. It's in development for the PS5, so they showed off some of that game in this State of Play as well. Metro Awakening VR was shown off in this Sony State of Play. It is set before the events of Metro 2033, and it puts players in the shoes of a doctor searching the Metro tunnels to find his wife. So it releases later in 2024. This definitely was impressive looking for a VR game. VR's never been something I've been really interested in. I don't know if the games are really up my alley at this point, but this definitely has the nice aesthetic of the Metro world going on. Metro's not a franchise I've tried, but I'm definitely seeing some gameplay of it, and this looks like a pretty fun experience. So there's a couple of instances of VR looking pretty cool here. I just don't know if I'm ever really going to be sold on the VR, but interesting enough. And the next VR game they showed off was called Legendary Tales. And this was revealed for PlayStation VR 2. This is coming from Urban Wolf Games, and they definitely have a cool logo as well, like Ballistic Moon Studios I mentioned earlier. And this has first-person gameplay, includes combat with magic, swords, hammers, bow and arrow, and more in a fantasy environment. So with this show, they showed the Metro Awakening trailer, and that's like looking like some great graphical fidelity. And then they showed off this Legendary Tales game, which immediately kind of looked like playing Morrowind or some Skyrim combat or Oblivion combat. But then it actually ended up, as the trailer goes, I really think they started selling people. When I was watching Min-Max, they were kind of selling them as the trailer went along. And this game looks like the actual gameplay might be the strength here. It looks like some of the stuff you're doing in VR is actually pretty fun and sometimes kind of silly, but it looks like it had some pretty cool stuff you're doing in there. So kind of maybe one of those more than meets the eyes kind of things. But Legendary Tales revealed for PlayStation VR 2 and looking pretty cool. And the last game from the show I want to tell you about real quick was Helldivers 2. There was a trailer showing off the multiplayer shooter action, and this game actually releases next week if you're listening in real time. So it comes out on February 8th, 2024, if you want to play some Helldivers 2. Not a series I'm familiar with, but I heard Ben Hansen is excited for this, and he's a big fan of the first one, so this game definitely has some fans out there looking to play Helldivers 2 with some multiplayer shooter action. So that's going to wrap up the Sony State of Play. So, a million great games from the Sony State of Play. Talked about games like Death Stranding 2, whatever that game called, Physint, Physint, Psy-INT, Rise of the Ronin, Stellar Blade, Judas, Dave the Diver, Foamstars, Sonic Time Shadow Generations, Until Dawn Remaster, Dragon's Dogma 2, Silent Hill The Short Message, Silent Hill 2 Remake, V-Rising, Zenless Zone Zero, Metro Awakening VR, Legendary Tales, and Helldivers 2. So those are all the games shown off in Sony State of Play, and really great event. Definitely a lot of good hype in there to get and have, and go watch that Sony State of Play if you want to see what these games are looking like that I just told you all about. So really, really cool. So let's get into some more news going on around the video game world. Last week there was a release of a game that is out now, and that is Persona 3 Reload. This is out now. It released on February 2nd, 2024 for PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Xbox Cloud Gaming, and Microsoft Windows. This game is $69.99 US for the standard edition. It's an RPG developed and published by Atlas. Reload is a remake of Persona 3, the fourth main installment of the Persona series. Itself is part of the larger Tensei Megami franchise, Tensei Megami. Step into the shoes of a transfer student thrust into the unexpected fate when entering the hour hidden between one day and the next. Awaken an incredible power and chase the mysteries of the dark hour. Fight for your friends and leave a mark on their memories forever. So, captivating reimagining of the genre-defining RPG reborn for the modern era. Fully immerse yourself in an emotional, gripping journey with new scenes, character interactions, and additional voiceover. Choose how to meaningfully spend each day through various activities, from exploring the Port Island to forging genuine bonds with beloved characters. Build and command your optimal team to take down otherworldly shadows and climb closer to the truth. So I gotta say, this game looks really cool. I've never played Persona 3. I played some of Persona 4 Golden and some of Persona 5 Royale, so I think it would be cool to try to start at this game at some point and play it. I don't know if it's immediately something I want to get into. It's a long RPG. I don't really have a great history of completing long games, and it's going against exactly what I'm trying to do, is complete some shorter games right now. But Persona 3 Reload is in the category of things I might want to pick up at some point and just kind of keep in my backlog for something to play in the future. But it looks really cool. I've heard pretty positive things about this. I think they've stayed pretty true to the original game, but have added some quality of life improvements. And that is, I think, kind of the best you can ask for in these remasters, or this one's called a reload. But this game's looking very cool. It's out now, and you can go get it if you want to. So something else that's out right now that you can go get if you want to is the game Eastward has some DLC called Octopia. So the Eastward Octopia DLC is out right now. And Eastward is a 2021 action-adventure RPG developed by Pixpill and published by Chucklefish. And Eastward is out right now, obviously, for Nintendo Switch, Mac OS, Xbox One, Microsoft Windows, and Mac operating systems. So Eastward, the base game, initially released on September 16, 2021. And then Eastward Octopia DLC released on January 31st, 2024. It looks like it has a $5.99 US dollar price tag, and it's on sale on the Nintendo Switch right now for 15% off. So $5.09. You can get this DLC on the Switch through February 15th, 2024. So a nice, fairly inexpensive addition to a game. And this is for new and old players alike, they say. So it's accessible straight from Eastward's start menu. So you can start living the good life right away. So you don't have to play. I guess you have to own the base game, but you don't have to have played the base game to jump into this. That's how I'm taking this information. But double check for yourself if you are going to purchase this on that point right there. But telling you about this Octopia DLC is a Sam and John return in an all-new adventure. It's in a remote mountainside village. Sam and John start life anew as farmers, work in the land, tend livestock, and cook heartwarming meals for familiar yet strangely different friends. So they're saying enjoy the good life in peaceful pixel surroundings. Help Sam and John lead a peaceful new life in the countryside. And they said no miasma. So I had to look this word up, miasma, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But I hope that word means an unwholesome or oppressive atmosphere and pollution in the atmosphere. So they're trying to tell you they're in the countryside. There's no miasma, there's no hardships, and just happy times in a parallel universe. So revitalize a neglected farmstead, grow crops, rear animals, forage in the wetlands, talk to ghosts, and spend your nights casting your line in the local fishing holes. Construct and upgrade stores and homes to restore Octopia into a thriving community. As the town begins to flourish, more familiar faces will flock to the area. Some may even stay for good. Using farm-fresh ingredients in John's cookbook, create recipes and whip up delicious culinary delights to share with your neighbors. So this definitely sounds very cool. I own Eastward. I've never completed it, but it's a very cool game. It definitely has a great style to it. And I think this is a cool addition to the game and seems like a great kind of like parallel thing to do in this universe. So I do like these farming sim kind of games. This sounds like some Stardew Valley going on here. It sounds like a little bit of Animal Crossing. And putting this art style on gameplay like that sounds like a really great combination. So this is something that I need to hear some reviews on. Something I'd like to play at some point, but I don't know how much time I would put into it. But definitely something that seems worthwhile, especially if you're a fan of Eastward. And then if you're a fan of games like Stardew Valley, I think this is a layup of something to buy, especially for the price tag. It's $5. And farming games usually have a pretty long tail to them, and you can kind of play them as long as you want for the most part. So Eastward Octopia DLC is available right now. So go look for that. All right, so just a few more things to tell you about here on this midsection of the show. And the next game I'm going to tell you about is the best game of the year, according to the Dep Lewis Show from 2022, and that's Splatoon 3. So we mentioned this earlier in the show talking about Foamstars, but Splatoon 3 has a new Splatfest incoming. And then the question on this Splatfest is what's the best day of the weekend, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday? And you can make your choice and battle it out from 4 p.m. Pacific time on February 16th, 2024 to 4 p.m. Pacific time on February 18th, 2024. So it's going to be the weekend, not this weekend. Well, if you're listening, not the upcoming weekend if you're listening real time, but the following weekend, you can play this new Splatfest. So you have to decide what's the best day of the weekend, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I don't know if I'm going to be playing the Splatfest, but if I was, my team would be Team Saturday. And I think Saturday is the best day. I work a normal during the week job, so the weekend is my free time. And I think this, all the days have some pretty good merit. Usually Friday nights is pretty fun. You have the joy of getting off work and then knowing you don't have to do anything for the whole weekend. So Friday night you can kind of do whatever you want. Play some games, have a beer, go see a game, go do something fun. And Friday night's generally pretty fun, but for me it comes with the whole first half of the day is working. So you're having to go through a whole work day, but the evening's extra fun because you got the whole weekend ahead of you. So that's a sales pitch for Friday. Sales pitch for Saturday, which I'm Team Saturday here in this event. But Saturday, you can sleep in. You got the whole day to do whatever you want, and then you have the whole next day to recover, or you have that night where you can go to sleep and don't have to wake up early again. So I think Saturday is the best of all the worlds on the weekend because it's the most non-committal day. You don't have to do anything on either side of it. So it should be the crown jewel of your weekend, and Saturday gets the vote of the Dep Lewis Show for best day of the weekend. But then Sunday has some good merit too. Sunday is usually pretty relaxing. You do get to sleep in on Sunday. It's just the threat of having to go to work the next day is the only downfall for Sunday. But, if you've had a good weekend, maybe you're tired on Sunday night, want to go to bed early anyways. Usually some football going on Sunday, which is pretty nice. Baseball, usually at 1 o'clock on Sunday, which is very nice too. But I still think you're going to take Saturday, because even thinking about baseball, you can get a baseball game on Saturday night, Saturday afternoon. But, pretty strong feelings for all these days. And if you don't work throughout the week, then you'll probably have some differing opinions. But that is the new Splatfest upcoming in a couple weekends. So Splatoon 3, please go check that game out. It is a very amazing game. And the last bit of news I want to tell you about here in the midsection of this show this week is MLB The Show 2024 has announced its cover athlete. So this game releases on March 19th, 2024, which is shortly before the season starts on March 28th, 2024. And the new cover athlete of this game is the very deserving, very cool Toronto Blue Jay, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So following in his dad's footsteps, he's on the cover of a video game. That's a pretty great lineage there. And Vlad Guerrero is a pretty big fan favorite and hits really huge home runs and just seems like a great guy. So shout out to Vlad for being on the cover, and shout out to baseball for coming back relatively soon. I am always beyond excited for that, and it's the most wonderful time of the year is the baseball time. So MLB The Show definitely marks the beginning of the baseball season. So MLB The Show 2024, Vlad Guerrero Jr. releasing on March 19th, 2024. So that is going to wrap up the midsection of the show this week. That's all the great video game information from the week. So we talked about the Sony State of Play that took place. So definitely go watch that. There's a million great games from there, like Death Stranding 2, Physint, Rise of the Ronin, Stellar Blade, Judas, Dave the Diver, Foamstars, Sonic and Shadow Generations, Until Dawn Remaster, Dragon's Dogma 2, Silent Hill The Short Message, Silent Hill 2 Remake, V Rising, Zenless Zone Zero, Metro Awakening VR, Legendary Tales, and Helldivers 2. We also talked about games like Persona 3 Reload, Eastward Octopia DLC, Splatoon 3, and MLB The Show 2024. So tons of great games, tons of great information, and if you're saying there's no games to play, I think you've lost your damn mind. Because there are a million games out there to play. The backlogs are so heavy. The front logs are looking loaded too. And it's a great time to be a video gamer. So just thank you for listening to this. And come back every week for the midsection of this show where I tell you about all the best happenings of the video game world. So we're going to take our final break. You're going to hear some lovely break music, and we're going to come back for the miscellaneous talk section of the show this week. It's going to be short and sweet, and we're getting into the worldwide world of sports. So going to give you updates on all the favorite teams of the Dep Lewis Show and other happenings around the sports world. So come back for the final section after this music. Welcome back to the final section of the best show you'll ever know, the Dep Lewis Show. This is episode 65, and this is the final section of the show today, the miscellaneous talk section, where I talk about anything I want to outside the video game world. So today's going to be a little bit short and sweet. I'm going to tell you about some of the favorite teams of the Dep Lewis Show. So we're going to get into the worldwide world of sports. So the first thing I want to talk about is just a quick talk about the Carolina Panthers. There's not a whole lot of news going on with them. It's the off season. They have hired their GM and coach, some other staff members as well. So it's basically looking towards the draft and looking towards next season is the Panthers mode. It's not going to be a whole lot of news. I don't really expect them to have, I don't know what I expect for off-season signings. I've kind of given up on the Brian Burns getting paid scenario. I still think I'm a fan of that. I don't think you pay him as the highest edge rusher in the league, but I still think you pay him a big bag of money. He's one of the best players on our team and a young guy, a guy who's been with our team. We drafted him, and I think you should pay him. So that is the one thing I want to say here each week is to pay Brian Burns, and I am interested in seeing what the front office is going to do with some of these free agent decisions, and if they're able to. I don't think they're going to be attracting people, so I think they should try to retain the talent they have and really work towards the draft would be my advice here on the Dep Lewis Show. But I don't know. I don't know what the Panthers are doing. I've been pretty negative on the Panthers in the last week, so I'm trying to get over that threshold. You can go listen to the Dep Lewis Freestyle Show for a pretty good rant on the Panthers from the past week. It was episode 12. It's all about the Carolina Panthers on Patreon, but I'm just going to kind of repeat some of the stuff here. So Well, no, I'm not. I'm just gonna I'm gonna move on. Is what I'm gonna do. Dave Canales is the coach. He had some funny stuff in the news come out last week. I don't know if I'm sold on his. I don't know, just his longevity and character with the team. I don't know. I don't know how well it's gonna resonate. And then Dan Morgan as well. I just don't know if it's gonna resonate. And I'm not really trying to get sold again on off-season hype for the Carolina Panthers. They've been burning us too much lately. So you have to look, if you want to be a fan, you want to keep your wits about you. You really just gotta look at this in a rational way. And like I've been saying, we need to see some more action besides any of these words being spoken, and that's what we need to do. We need to see some of these signings. We need to see if they make some off-season moves, what they do in the draft, who they're able to retain, and that is all I'm interested in as a fan at this point. I'm not really interested in the hype speeches, in the promises, in the what ifs and what we're going to do and what kind of players we need, and describing we want players like the old legends of the Carolina Panthers. And then something else I want to mention as a gripe on the show, that whenever people mention the legends of the Panthers, they often leave out Cam Newton, which if I have to pick up my favorite Panther of all time, it is Cam Newton very, very easily. And I think that's the same sentiment as most Panthers fans. For some reason, Cam Newton's a divisive figure in the sports and media and just the world in general, but he is undoubtedly one of the greatest Panthers of all time and had one of the best runs in franchise history and one of the most exciting and dynamic and fun players to play. And one of those guys where you're excited to have him on your team and you feel proud and you feel jealous when he goes other places. And it's just a great reason to watch football on Sunday. And, the Panthers have been missing that kind of energy for a long time. And it's crazy how that energy was kind of swiftly moved out of the building. And something that I think the team is scrambling to find nowadays is that type of positive energy. It just doesn't grow on trees. And that is what I'm getting at with this head coach and general manager hire. I think they have, I've been saying, corporate style energy instead of football, passionate, that kind of, it's just a different thing. It really is. I've called it, they have a very corporate culture at the Carolina Panthers. And I don't know how well that translates to wins on the field or having dogs or grit like they talk about. So that's my gripe with the Panthers these days. But I will keep you updated on happenings of the Carolina Panthers as I always do, even if I'm angry at the team at this time. But the general NFL news, the playoff updates, this is the first Sunday without a football all season, which is pretty sad. Leaves a lot of people wondering what they're going to do on a Sunday, especially when there's no baseball going on. But hey, you got the Dep Lewis Show here to keep you entertained. So, you're listening to this, so you made the right decision today on this Sunday, or whenever you're listening to this show. But hopefully some people listen in real time. But the Super Bowl will be next week. It's the San Francisco 49ers at the Kansas City Chiefs. Everyone's complaining about Taylor Swift, but everyone complaining about her is still talking about her and keeping the conversation going. So everyone needs to chill out a little bit. This is still football, still a game being played, and I think Taylor Swift adds some excitement to it. I'm not even a fan of Taylor Swift, but I like the excitement it brings. I think it's interesting, and I even think it's fun when they show her in the press box. And whenever Travis does something, I want to see what Taylor thinks of it. So I'm part of not the problem, but I'm wrapped up in it as well as someone who really doesn't even care about it. So it's just fun. It's all for entertainment. People take things way too seriously, and ultimately these guys are trying to win a championship, and they are taking it seriously. So we need to appreciate the greatness on the field if you're a fan of the sport. So Super Bowl will be next weekend, and that will end the football season, and then we can look forward to next year, like the common phrase for the Carolina Panthers. So football world, really looking forward to that last game. It's been a great season. Love some football, and I'm going to miss it. Going to miss it when it's gone. But the team that I've been into recently, where I've been able to actually watch the games, which has been amazing, it's my favorite NBA team, the official NBA team of the Dep Lewis Show, the Atlanta Hawks. So I'm able to watch them on League Pass now since I moved to North Carolina. The Hornets games I'm not able to watch, which is kind of sad, but I can go to some of those in person, which is nice. And I'm going to go see the Hornets play the Hawks. The Hawks play the Hornets on February 14th. That's the next home game I want to go to for the Charlotte Hornets, and I get to see them play the Hawks. So that's what I'm excited for over here. But for the Hawks, I can watch them on League Pass now, which is pretty epic. So I paid for a monthly subscription to League Pass, and I might end up just buying the reduced rate for the rest of the season because I'm able to watch the Hawks, and I've been watching other teams on there as well. For some reason, I'm a Pacers fan these days. I really don't know why, but I just really like Tyrese Halliburton and some of the other players on their team, but that's kind of popped up out of nowhere for me. I've started liking the Pacers some, but just fun to be able to watch them on League Pass. I love having some sports to watch, and this is a perfect solution for this in-between time between football and baseball. So when baseball season's here, I have something to watch every day, which is ideal and amazing. And I'm getting that a little bit here now with basketball too. So I'm going to hear some more NBA talk on the show as the season progresses, and that's the plan. That's what I want to tell you about. So what's going on with the Hawks? So they announced the All-Stars last week, and Trae Young is not an All-Star. He's scoring 27.3 points a game and 10.9 assists, so those are pretty decent stats. And the Hawks are currently 22-27 and on a 4-game streak. So the record right there, they were 22 and 24 right before this, or 22 and 23 right before this streak. So 500 basketball with some other great players in the league. So, but still seems like a pretty big snub for Trae not to get All-Star. It seems like he might get in if somebody is injured or kind of like a replacement thing. So it seems like he ultimately will be there. But it does seem kind of like a slight. But the Hawks have really been underperforming this season. So hopefully this can light a fire under their you-know-whats and have them propel them for some more wins to end the season here and to get to All-Star. And then they have a whole another half of the season to go. So the Hawks can turn it around. But the big question is what's going to happen at the trade deadline, February 8th. Are people going to get traded? A lot of DeJounte Murray trade rumors out there. And once again, I'm just not sold on teams I like trading away players I like. And if you watched the game last night, the Hawks beat the Warriors. They were in Atlanta. They beat them in overtime. Curry had a 60-piece, and the Hawks still got the win. The Hawks played really great in overtime. The Warriors were missing a lot of shots, and DeJounte had some pretty sick mid-range shots, really tough shots at the end that were really tough to kind of close the game in overtime. So I don't know. I think they need to make some moves around the margins. I think they have a pretty competitive team. I don't know what exactly the problem is, and I'm just excited to be able to watch more of it. I'll be able to give you more in-depth analysis on the Hawks now that I can watch most of the games, and that is the plan. So look forward to some more Hawks talk on the show, and I'm going to look forward to watching some more Hawks every time I can. So pretty awesome. Thank you to NBA League Pass, and thank you to me for being in North Carolina where I can watch my Hawks on League Pass. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about this week are the Atlanta Braves, the official MLB team of the Dep Lewis Show. I just want to call for a Max Fried extension. I want guys that I like to get paid, and I think teams should try to retain talent they have, especially if you're not into signing big-time free agents all the time. So pay Max Fried. I don't know if they're going to, but I just want to say that. And the other thing I want to mention is I just saw on Twitter this morning that people were calling out the new Braves jerseys on the Fanatics store. And this was something that I mentioned a couple weeks ago that I noticed that the jerseys were looking updated. And these articles are mentioning how the jerseys look worse. And I kind of agree with it. And they definitely look a little bit different. They moved the stitching on the arm down to the bottom. They've also moved the A over like the inseam on the middle of the jersey. And then they've removed like the MLB logo from the back of the jersey. But, I love looking at some jerseys. I don't know if I'm in the... I sometimes like to buy one, or I usually like to buy one around the start of the season, just get caught up in the hype. I don't know if I want to buy one this year. I have two pretty great condition jerseys right now, and the most recent one I bought is the throwback Braves jersey that's just, I don't know, it's one of the best looking jerseys you can get, so it's really hard to top that or have something else out there you want, and it's a little bit weird to see, them making not so positive changes to the jersey, but I don't know. Things are always changing. I'll probably be sold on it. I love the Braves. They're a great team, so I'm a pretty big fan of their merch. I've been back rocking their hats pretty consistently, just switching back between the different styles of hats I have and rocking the Braves and getting ready to rep even harder. I always rep throughout the year, but during the baseball season, you start repping a little bit harder. I walked by a guy in a Braves hat the other day. We both kind of caught eyes and gave a little nod, so the Braves fans are strong out here. The best sport in the world is going to start in, a little over a month, and I am hyped for it, and you're going to be hearing about all the baseball news on the show. There's still some free agents to be determined and be decided, and there hasn't been a whole lot of movement, but we should probably get those deals wrapping up in the next week or so, because pitchers are going to report to training camp in a couple weeks, and I think you want to get some of these things done before that. So should have some baseball news going on in the next couple of weeks to report here on the show, and just definitely know that I'll be here to tell it to you. So that's going to wrap up this miscellaneous talk section of the show. We dove into the worldwide world of sports. We talked about the Carolina Panthers, we talked about the Atlanta Hawks, and we talked about the Atlanta Braves. And that's just going to wrap up this episode 65 of the Dep Lewis Show. So I appreciate you for being a listener. I hope you had a great time listening to the show today. Hope you learned a little bit of something. I hope you were entertained. And I hope you will come back next week and every other week and all the weeks in existence for just more episodes of the Dep Lewis Show. So I want to reiterate some of my promotional stuff from the beginning, because that really helps me out. And, you help me out by just listening. But if you could do some of these things as well, I'll be ever appreciative. So follow the Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Like, subscribe, rate, comment, review. Turn on notifications, tell a friend. Email any questions or feedback to DepLewisShow@gmail.com. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Patreon, Buzzsprout. So anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find the Dep Lewis Show. Clips are on YouTube and TikTok. Twitch.tv/DepLewisShow is a great place to follow. And then the ultimate place to follow is Patreon.com/DepLewisShow for a second weekly podcast exclusive to Patreon called the Dep Lewis Freestyle Show. So you can access this right now. It's $1 a month for the ground floor tier for the first 100 patrons. With this tier, you will gain access to an additional weekly podcast exclusive to Patreon called the Dep Lewis Freestyle Show, which I just mentioned. This podcast releases midweek and is a great way to get additional content and support the show. And this is a podcast without a plan. I just hit record and go, so it can be more random. It's a little more loose, and hopefully it's just some good entertainment for the middle of your week, and hopefully it can entice you to go over there and support me on Patreon, because I would really support it. I really appreciate it. So after the first 100 patrons, the regular price for this tier will begin, and ground floor tier pricing will never change, and you will gain access to all Dep Lewis Show Patreon content always. So this is an investment for now and an investment for your entertainment future. So please go over there and check out the Patreon. I've been having a whole lot of fun doing the freestyle show. There's 12 of them on there now. I'm planning, to do it every week, midweek, once a week, midweek. Usually drops on Wednesday, and is a great, midweek check-in with me here on the Dep Lewis Show. So I just appreciate you. I appreciate all the support. I have a lot of fun doing this show every week, and just thank you for listening. I hope you have a great week out there in the world. Hope a lot of great things happen to you. I hope you get some new video games. Hope you get a new car. I hope you pet a cute dog. Hope you get a raise at work. I hope you win the lottery. I hope you become rich. A lot of money ones here. Hope you find $20 on the ground. Hope you make a new friend. I hope you go see a game. I hope you go out to dinner. I hope you eat something good. I hope you drink some great coffee. I hope you have a great beer. Just have a great week out there in the world. And please come back and listen to the Dep Lewis Show again next week, because I'll be back next week for another great episode of Dep Lewis Show. And this has been episode 65. I'll see you next week for episode 66. Have a good one out there.